am not a scheduled speaker. I'm here if some people have asked to speak to me. I'm happy to, if that's what you like.
Yeah, are you disappointed about the lack of action of the Security Council? Because there were some people hoping that they might slam a travel ban, asset freeze, ask for a minimum of relations with the indictees. But it seems as there is no action by the Security Council and the priorities has changed.
I was not privy to obviously the confidential hearing that just took place. I don't know what the outcome will be. I am thrilled at the appointment of Ambassador Susan Rice, and I know her commitment, her intellect. I've read everything she's written since she was with the Clinton administration. Sometimes she and Anthony Lake. Her views are well known, and I trust she will be commendable, not spineless.
Mr. Ocampo said he has no jurisdiction in a case like, for example, Sri Lanka. Have you followed that at all? What do you think?
I haven't. I'm not qualified to talk about Sri Lanka.
How about the Congo, in this case of Mr. Bosco, where the UN is basically working with an indicted, ICC indicted war criminal?
Again, I'm not really qualified to talk about that. I can address a few of the comments of the Sudanese ambassador. I would say distortion and lying are the least of his sins.
Farrow, do you have any concern about the children in Gaza, for example, as much as you have about the children in Darfur?
Of course, and I hope to visit Gaza soon. Again, that isn't the area that I have been focused on for the past 6 years, but I think everyone is concerned for the children in Gaza. I am a UNICEF ambassador, and my goal is to go there and do what I can for the children in Gaza.
Do you think the warrant for President Bashir's arrest has had any impact on the situation on the ground in Darfur, either positive or negative?
You know, one reason I was eager to speak to you is because I have now made 11 trips into the region. I spent the entire month of February there, and conspicuously absent is the voice of the Darfuris. And I thought it right and proper to tell you what I've heard from the displaced people both in Darfur and in eastern Chad. Overwhelmingly, they are in favor of Luis Moreno Ocampo's decision. It was described to me the night that he announced that there might be an indictment, that he had requested an indictment, that apparently that news came over the BBC late at night, that people gathered around the radio, that translations were rippling through the camp, that all were summoned around that one radio in the marketplace. And then when they understood what might happen, which was something that they had something to hope for, there was dancing through the dawn hours and singing, and people went home jubilant. And hope ran. Now, month of February, there was a premature announcement that you recall there had been an indictment. It's a bit of a jump on that, but I was in the camps for that. And again, I arrived in the camps at 7 a.m. and heard the drums and the singing as it rippled through the camp, as news spread throughout the camp, and people began, dancing and singing. I've met at least 100 babies named Ocampo. And they spell it O-K-A-M-B-O for my sake, so the name has been Africanized. And I have a big sign, I'll put it on my website, that says, Ocampo, up, up, up. Al-Bashir, down, down, down. So, I mean, hope runs high. And I think if we think in the short term, the population has suffered so much. Everyone in the camps, all 2.7 million of them, if you count the refugees in Chad, have suffered and seen immeasurable losses. The burning of their village, the bombing, the loss of loved ones. 80% of the people in camps are women and children. My reports of sources over the Orokosoni camp, bombers were flying low over Orokosoni on the 28th and 29th of May, and bombs fell within eyeshot and earshot of that camp, apparently, according to Minurcat, on Chadian soil. This to an already traumatized population. People were running, people were scurrying, trying to hide their children. They can't leave the camp. They're surrounded by desert. So in the short term, what they're telling me is we would rather die than forfeit justice. We don't believe there can be any just or lasting peace with this president, Omar al-Bashir. They're hoping that the government will be shaken to the point where middle voices will be heard, and that someone, some group, will replace Omar al-Bashir, and that he will be taken where he belongs, to the International Criminal Court. And in the long term, what are we saying? We must support the International Criminal Court, or every thug who hacks his way to power will have that sense of impunity hiding behind sovereignty. I think it's really important, short term, middle term, and long term.
What do you say to the criticism of, like, the African Union, which says, number one, that this may undermine the peace process with GEM and others, and also some of the African Union say Ocampo hasn't indicted anyone outside the continent of Africa, and that this ends up looking, if not being, kind of a double standard. What do you say to that?
No, I will say, you know, I went to the African Union in Addis Ababa, and I was sitting alongside my friend, Wangari Maathai. She is a Nobel Prize laureate, and Commissioner Ping was saying some negative things about the ICC indictment, and Wangari Maathai spoke up. She said, I will answer that. And she said, if there was a credible court in this region addressing the crimes this man has committed and the misery to millions, we would support that. But in the absence of such a court, she said, we must throw our weight behind the International Criminal Court. That's where she came down. And I don't think anyone argues with Wangari Maathai. Commissioner Ping was silent. But his feelings were clear. It would be interesting to hear about the meeting that's coming up in 3 days, which the chief prosecutor referred to. Okay? Thank you very much.